So I'm going to introduce Nora next. Nora Rosenthal is a writer and filmmaker. This year, she took part in the RBC Emerging Artists Network at the Power Plant Contemporary Art Festival. Her writing has appeared in Momus, and her short film, has appeared in Momus, Movie's Notebook, and the editorial magazine. And her short film, 9 Easy Dances, will premiere at the RIDM in Montreal. Nora.
Oh, can I get this higher? Sorry. Sorry. Thank you. That's great. Hey. I love Georges Bataille, by the way. He's a freak. Yes. So, I've noticed that the people who make cancer ad campaigns disproportionately use lemons to symbolize the disgusting, tumor-riddled human body they can't otherwise show. Lemons are to cancer tissue what that blue liquid was to period blood. Cartons of deformed or rotting lemons are used to show the various breast disfigurements that might pretend of cancer. But for years, I've also been seeing 2-meter-tall bus stop ads featuring a heaping box of bright California Eureka lemons, in which one has been colored red, connoting blood, connoting bladder cancer, but really just evoking a succession of toilet bowls into which a series of bedraggled asses on a whole spectrum of hairiness hang dripping, suggesting urethras the world over emptying themselves in denial. Approximately 500,000 scared people yearly staring at that wisp of blood clinging to the vitamin B-enriched fluorescent puddle before them with that gut-rotting humiliation of defeat and bodily betrayal, rapidly flushing and just shutting the door behind them. In my dream cancer ad, however, we don't use lemons. We open on a wide angle of a yuppie's sleek urban toilet, the faint red stain disappearing, barely visible in the tastefully darkened room. Cut to a camping trip where a conventionally attractive post-menstrual mom has just wiped away a red schmear in a dark outhouse filled somehow not with archetypal flies, but with thousands of awaiting nests of bug eggs. From there, with increasing speed, we see a collage of bloody pea discoverers. First, the elder small-town grocery clerk, then the biker, whose fully tattooed arm comes into view as his fingers hesitate just a moment before they flush. Cut to a close-up of a Michelin star, too, chef, shakily keying unfentanyl-tested cocaine into his awaiting nostrils, following his gaze to peer down into the dark awaiting toilet. Here, the chef alone seems perversely thrilled by his bloody pee, as if not even a third Michelin star could have so filled his basest need. We cut to the triathlon athlete, the weird winter biathlon athlete, the post-coital stockbroker, the elementary school art teacher, the recently laicized Roman Catholic priest, and of course, the ballerina. From an extreme low angle, the camera essentially tilts upward, showing those immense muscular calves pressed against her cool and unfeeling porcelain witness. All this is cut together with an accelerating speed until the screen goes black for just a moment and our peers return, this time rapidly pinging into view as many tiny screens that fill the whole 1080p backdrop in one flickering mass, crossfading into an excretion-like yellow over which the sans serif enunciation appears. See red? See your doctor. Remember that book Everyone Poos? Well, 1 in 60 people pee blood someday. And if it's been a while since you read Minima Moralia, remember that it was Adorno who told us the brightest rooms are the secret domain of feces. Okay, this is called Fear of Cars. And which driver is not tempted merely by the power of his engine to wipe out the vermin of the street, pedestrians, children, and cyclists? Adorno also said that. I once had the good fortune, while waiting with my dad for my mom to have her reproductive organs and various adjacent tissues surgically removed, a fantastic distraction that is the lurid misfortune of others. The middle-aged man beside me very kindly and out of nowhere started showing me news footage on his phone. It was a map of Yonge Street and Finch Ave where a man had been driving his rider-rented Chevy van into pedestrians. One young, app-developing incel with no criminal history, apparently, just determined to use this particular April Tuesday to kill. And me and this other dad were utterly transfixed and chatty, and for sure thinking that by some terrible kismet we'd been saved, that our loved ones were going to make it, courtesy somebody else's tragedy. I found out later that there was an Avon lady killed, and I didn't even know they made Avon ladies anymore. But that's how the news outlets would describe Geraldine Brady, 83. I imagine she must have looked in her prime just like Diane Wiest in Edward Scissorhands, once the apex of sexy yet wholesome momdom, now senselessly squished. But there was no talk of a victims list yet, just, over the following hours, a numbing balm of municipal horror to override our more personal sadness, a tiny war waged outside against retirees and students across and through Mel Lastman Square. Our gastric juices calmed by coffee and the sadness of random strangers, which, unlike, say, the death of the last male white rhino, or the looming extinction of the adorable and whip-smart vaquitas, or even the knowledge of our own infinitely important future deaths, fills us with more garrulous confusion than dread, my dad and I ate very large amounts of hospital cafeteria sushi and shared a little plastic dish of edamame. A waiting room TV was playing and replaying CTV coverage of Alec Manassian's 16-block-long killing spree, and some woman who'd been in there way longer than us stood up and literally screamed that she couldn't take it anymore, and we watched as a series of nurses and doctors and surgeons were totally stymied by the TV, which eerily stayed on, even when literally unplugged. Someone muttered darkly that this was a smart TV. And finally, one of the nurses figured out how to change the channel to hockey. The first vehicle ramming attack was in 1973 in Prague. I failed my driver's exam for barreling through a stop sign in 2017. Before that, I took driving lessons with a man called François, who distressingly shared all of my basest fears. Oops, sorry. So, where did it go? Where did the rest of it go? One moment. He taught driving class with the penitence of the reformed child-slaughtering drunk driver. François seemed as convinced as I was that everyone in this class was just gunning to run over some cute 4-year-old and spend the rest of their lives roving from state prisons to those permanent internal ones of their own creation. He taught the class that old people were just looking to use you and your vehicle as a quick way out, and that his undervisited mom in her home would probably try and leap in front of his own hatchback if she could only work the code to her retirement home sliding front door. 1, 2, 3, 4. In other words, he reminded us that loneliness kills, but also cars. Thank you.